Hi, my name is Rick Sanders.
And I'm Christine DeMeo. Welcome to Gigging Solo.
So just a little note up top. We recorded this when we had a different name, and you might hear that name in the episode somewhere. But we are the Gigging Solo podcast, and we're glad you're here. So let's join the podcast in progress. Christine, so what's been going on for you this week?
Well, the week of Christmas feels like last week it wasn't too busy for me as far as gigs. I think I just played one gig at a hotel in Little Rock. So really,
Is that
that's
the Aloft.
yeah, the Aloft Hotel, and it's cool because I've been playing there for a few years, and they're a chain hotel, so they're all over the area. In Arkansas, at least they have been, and I've played in a few different loft hotels throughout Arkansas. But yeah, I just did a gig like that last week, and then I've been doing a lot of band gigs.
Oh, cool. Oh, they do have lofts out here, by the way, as well. I have played it. I've played it once. I want to say one of the first videos I ever saw of yours was like when you were kind of just starting live streaming was at a loft.
Nice. Yeah. I would say a loft is really where I started cutting my teeth as far as doing my live streaming. I think it's a good venue just because it's that hotel lobby vibe. It doesn't feel very high stakes. It's kind of chill.
Yeah.
So, I've been doing a lot of live streams there, but, I've been doing lots of band gigs, been playing with a band that I play with based out of Little Rock, Mayday by Midnight. And, we've been getting ready, just trying to stay tight throughout the year because we do our yearly tour of Key West and we play over at Sloppy Joe's. So I think, the guys have just been wanting to have me in for more gigs so that we can, feel more prepared and relaxed when we go and play in Key West.
And that's you just on drums, or are you drums and singing? Are you playing guitar?
Oh, in that band, I just play guitar and sing. It's nice. Yeah.
Nice.
I get to just show up and I don't have to be the boss. I get to just be that musician that's like, hey, I'm here and where do I plug in?
Yeah. I mean, I started out, the first time I was ever in a band was as a singer. And, I didn't know anything about anything. We might be getting into that in a little bit. But one of the kind of the nice things about it was I just showed up and, warmed up and just point me where you want me to be and, what's the set list or whatever. But that has changed. Those days are long gone.
Well, speaking of that, then let's just dive into the topic today. I think what we're going for on this issue is how to go from the garage to the gig.
Yeah.
Like, what does it take? How do you know when you're ready to play your first paying gig?
See, I thought I was gonna answer Honda Fit because that's how I go from the garage to the gig. But you're asking a different kind of question now.
I didn't know that you had a career as a comedian before this musician life.
Failed comedian, so now you're left with the dregs of that. I'm sorry for that. No, exactly. No, there's a really good. I'm actually really interested in this topic because you floated this one, and one of the things that is interesting for me is like the day we're describing, which is like someone gives you the opportunity to play a 3-hour gig. Do you say yes, or what do you need to know to say yes? For me, that day happened in 2019. It's really not that long ago. I still remember the gig. I can actually kind of like pick it to a specific thing. Now, you've been doing this a lot longer than I have, so I'm sure this is like, and also like, was I prepared then in a way that I would want to be? No. And so I'm actually I think this is gonna be a fun topic because, I'm trying not to over-index on the exact thing that was my experience of this kind of recently-ish. But yeah, what we agree is like, or what we think are the most interesting things to be ready for.
Yeah. I know that I've been playing gigs, like you said, for a long time and just been out in the scene. But I remember, I don't want to say how old I was because I'm much older now. I remember my first bar gig. And that to me was totally different than the original music scene because I went from playing original shows only, and then I got offered a bar gig, and long story short, I actually turned that gig down at first. And I'll try to give you just a summation. Basically, I turned it down because it was a smoky venue. And the lady that offered me the gig, she said, I'm going to give you a week or two to think about this because I think you're making the wrong choice. You say you want to play music and you want to make money. This is your chance and you need to think about it for a minute. And so basically, I thought about it. She was right. I sucked it up. I played in a smoky bar for 2 years. It was my first ever house gig. Yeah, it was the door that opened the doors to many other gigs. So I am glad that she told me, you need to think about this and get back to me in a week or two.
Those people are, we're not, that's not the topic this week, but those people that are like a little like, hey, you should, fledgling musician, you need to think about these things a bit more than maybe you are or whatever. So do you remember the experience vividly? The smells, the sounds?
Of course. I was scared to death. I had only played original gigs and, the reason why I ended up in the bar at the first place is because I got asked to do a songwriters round. And so I went in, did the songwriters round, and the lady was saying, hey, make sure you have original music, but I want you to do like 5 cover songs. And at the time I was like, cover songs are for sellouts. And she goes like, just do it. I'm going to pay you $100. And at the time I was like, $100. So, I was like, okay. And then when I did it and everything went well and I got offered that house gig, that's when I said no. And she told me to rethink it. And like I said, I'm so glad I did. But yeah, the first time that I played that venue as like my first paid gig, I was terrified. I obviously had been playing music before, but even then I didn't feel ready. But I did do this. Now, one of the biggest points for me, I think, with knowing whether or not you're ready to go from the garage to the venue is, do you have enough songs?
Yeah, that's a really big one.
It's huge. No offense. Nobody wants to hear you repeat a song 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So if you don't have, in my opinion, if you're playing a 3-hour gig, you need to have probably a minimum of 40 songs. When your adrenaline gets pumping, I don't know if you would agree with this, but when your adrenaline gets pumping, you're going to play through songs faster and you might be nervous and stumble through things and things may not go the way you think they should go. So to me, 40 songs ensures that you're able to do a 3-hour gig in a little bit then some.
Yeah, I would say absolutely +1 to that. And I would also say you probably want to have a couple. I guess we're kind of going to that place because I remember my first gig. My first gig was 2 hours, and I was able to get through that fine. And then the same venue asked me back for 3 hours, and I struggled because I didn't have that extra hour. So I would say even if you're not doing a 3-hour gig, maybe that's like a good 40 is just a good number to aim for so that you're ready. Because 3 hours is such a common length of time. I ended up kind of cheating my way to the first gig by splitting time with a band I was playing with, like a small trio. So that filled some of that time for me. But then when I was on my own, the second time it was not enough. The other thing I would say too is because you are going to be nervous probably their first gig. I mean, I expect almost everyone who does that is you want to have a couple songs you can play when you're like crazy nervous. Things that you can
yeah.
I like to think of them as like the roll out of bed. I can play this song with, my voice isn't warm. Doesn't matter. I can just do this song. I guess we should also say that our perspective is guitarist, singers, but I think this probably applies to anyone with any instrument that can perform. Most of those people are singers, but maybe not all. But yeah, having something that you're so comfortable with that you can just use it to calm yourself down and get your adrenaline levels a little bit in check can also help. But yeah, I would say 3 hours for sure, or 40 songs is a good rule of thumb. And I think that's something I still wonder if I would have said yes to the gig I said yes to back then. I probably would have, but I would have been better to aim for that number of songs, even though I didn't need all 40 that first time.
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, they threw me to the wolves personally. That this was a 4-hour gig.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a 4-hour house gig for 2 years when I first started playing in the bar scene. That was my first ever house gig, first ever like real, I guess, gig where it was, I had to play for so many hours. So I will say in the beginning, I did have 40 songs, but luckily for me, I've been playing music so long. People would request songs, and I have a good enough ear to where I was like, I've heard this song before. Let me see if I can suss it out. And back then, I wasn't even using like an iPhone with a music program to show me the chords or anything. So it was quite a jump. But I really think that if you're gonna go into your first ever gig, just a good foundation of 40 songs that like you said, that you can play. If you're having an absolute like mental breakdown, your muscle memory is going to come through and save the day. That should be the standard. I personally think.
And I'd like to add to that point actually, which is, and this is probably aimed mostly at singers. I think in terms of like the physical demands, especially when you're a new singer, I think thinking about how to not overuse your voice, and we might do whole episodes on singing, I'm sure, but like,
oh gosh, yeah.
Make sure you know how to sing. Like, make sure that you're not tired after like 2 hours, say. Like practice singing. Know that you have the longevity to do that. Maybe it's a long car ride and you're singing along to a playlist of the songs you do or something like that. Because I mean, you can. I mean, I am proof that you can abuse any part of your body with any instrument you choose. I've done horrible things to my hands with my guitar as well, and I've gotten a lot better at that. But I think singing in particular is the instrument that is most commonly you'll like just run out of gas and potentially hurt yourself if you're not careful. And so beyond I have 40 songs but I've only ever done 5 at a time. Maybe dial it back, especially because your adrenaline's going to be amped up. You're not going to be necessarily using your best vocal technique. So practice. I would say make sure that you can sing without using too much. Don't force it through. I'll for instance, an example is probably like almost a counter example. Like there's a band that I've played in occasionally where I've just been a singer. It's an Ozzy Osbourne tribute act. It's really fun. I get to put on a costume and stuff like that. Maybe I'll put a picture on the screen. But
that's awesome.
But the thing about it is I can do an hour of that music. And I know I can't do like more than an hour and a half. I'm still using all my technique the right way, but just like where that vocal lives in my range is just like fatiguing. It's just I just get tired, and if I make a mistake early in the set, if I oversing something or approach it wrong, then I'm toast. Like I've got maybe a half an hour before my voice just says nope. And so maybe this is like I don't know. I don't want to like throw too many points in one point, but like also consider what key you're singing the songs you're singing in. Make sure they're comfortable for you.
100% agree with you on that. I mean, I hope you don't mind. I'll just throw in a little plug on my channel on YouTube. I actually have a quick video that says exactly a lot of those points that you just said. It's just so important. I don't know why it is. And it seems like this, especially with, I call them diva singers. And that's not trying to be like rude or anything, but it's just people that are very like powerful.
Showy, say.
Yeah, showy singers. And there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times they're pushing so hard.
Yeah.
To reach notes that they're just constantly straining their vocal cords to reach that note. When really, when it comes down to it, sing things in your range. That's going to be the best way to care for your voice, longevity. I mean, I know singers, I have peers that are the same age as me, and their voices are just, they sound like they've smoked a pack a day, or they're always hoarse because they're just constantly straining, singing songs that aren't comfortable in their range. And I'm sorry, but you know this, like if you're going to play a 3 or 4 hour gig, like every week, a few times a week, you can't be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you'll definitely come to regret it eventually, for sure. I feel like, well, most people, some people are not built different, but most of us mortals, we have to deal with the fact that our vocal cords have limits.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely have limits. I don't know about you, but I think another big point as far as knowing, hey, you know what, I can handle this gig, I've got it. I think it's just like having your own gear to bring
Yeah,
to the gig. What do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, we can. And it's funny actually. We're looking New Year's Eve as we record this, and I'm actually playing at a venue that has their own sound system. But I think they're nearly the only place I play that does. And especially if you think maybe you're even playing at a venue that has their own sound system, I'd still recommend having your own sound gear. I think because
Yeah.
if you want like the opportunity to play a follow up gear, having your own gear and being familiar with it, like knowing how it works, knowing how to dial it in is pretty important.
Yeah. No, I agree. If you don't, if you, like you said, if you have a gig where they're providing the sound system, it's always good to have a good working knowledge, I would say, of a mixer and how powered speakers work. Because
Yep.
most of the time when you go to a venue, I can guarantee you they're going to either be using a analog mixer with powered speakers, or they're going to be using a digital mixer with powered speakers. I really rarely run into the situation where I go to a venue and they're using power amps with passive speakers, and that's a whole other ball game. Which it's fairly simple to me, just because I've been doing this for so long. But it's not the. It just, to me, doesn't seem like the standard setup anymore with a power amp, passive speakers, mixer. It's usually just built-in powered speakers, mixer, and we're living in the digital age these days, so it really is good to have like a good working knowledge of how to work a mixer, just the basics, just like what's the trim, what does that do, what does your main fader do, how do I get volume to my aux outs, because usually those are going to be your monitor sends. So just for me, these would be good things to know, because if you're getting paid, 300, 400, 200, whatever, to play a gig, and they say, oh, well, here's the PA, and you walk in, you're like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to work this thing. It's going to look like amateur night, in my opinion.
It's also not going to do good things for your mental health. I think as you're going into a gig, you might already be nervous. Again, we're in this scenario, you're probably nervous. You want this part that you can control at home to come with you, right? Like, now you're going to be getting used to a different room or whatever, right? If you're used to like practicing in a different space, but like, even if you say you have like a practice amp to use for most of what you do, and you don't even sing into a microphone when you're just practicing, set up your setup a few times to make sure you're comfortable with it, because on the day you don't want to be going, oh my God, how does this thing work? I never use this thing. I'm always, if your garage setup is different, for instance.
That's huge, man. Like that's a big one. I actually, I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me where, I play a few different instruments. I play drums, I play guitar, I play bass. And I've been hired a few times where I've been the drummer for a band, and that's all right. The band members, they get to a gig and they're, we're supposed to plug into this PA, but nobody knows how to work it. And so then not only am I having to set up my gear and be ready to play their set, now I'm the one it falls on and says, okay, well, I know how to work this. Let's get plugged in. Let's do this. So it would be good to actually know how to work, just basic stuff with a mixer and powered speakers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's something I definitely did not know very well back when I started, and I wish I'd spent it. I will say there's a lot to know. There's more to know than you give it credit for, I'd say, to make the thing work.
No, for sure. And like I said, I know you're always going to feel probably unready no matter what, but these are things that can really, I feel, these are tidbits that we're talking about that I feel like can really help you at least feel more comfortable taking on some of the challenges that are going to happen when you play a gig for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's another gear related thing I would like to throw into the mix. Have backups.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
your mileage may vary on like how much you can, maybe you're playing a gig in the city and you can't like carry a ton of extra stuff, right? But like at minimum, extra cables, extra batteries, extra strings, like those are pretty critical. I'm a little, I'm going back to that early stage. Again, it's not that long ago, 6 years ago for me. I remember one of my first gigs, my mic stand broke. So like I bring, I because of this, I maybe have overcorrected and I have basically a small version of everything I do. 2 guitars, 2 mic stands, a monitor that can double as the mains if everything breaks down. Like this is kind of how I approach it. But at minimum, even if you're just putting things in the backpack, you want to have backups of things because things do break. You know, do it with what's reasonable. Obviously, there's a point where you're just
Oh
bringing
yeah.
2 sets of gear and maybe you're just asking to get stolen from. But I would say that's something to keep in mind. You do want to have backups of things.
Yeah, and you're right. I think within reason, you're probably, just to be honest, you're probably way more prepared than I am.
Mm.
I'm traveling with some extra cables. I have an extra mic, but when it comes to like a PA and my looper and things like that, I've invested in pieces of gear that I feel confident in that they should carry me through these gigs, and they have. And you're right, things are going to break. And one thing I will say, and I hate to do this again, but a shameless plug. There's a video on my channel talking about some things that you need for your first solo gig, and this is huge. Actually, I have used it for so many things. Gaff tape.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I had a mic stand that broke, and I was like, well, we're in quite the situation, aren't we? So I just wrapped it up with gaff tape.
I like that. I would say that's an upgrade on my approach in that way. Although now I've used my second microphone stand as my camera stand for live streaming.
Oh, yeah. Nice. No, that's a good, I've just been using a regular old tripod. So yeah, that might be a good idea. Actually, a mic stand might be more sturdy.
I just set it up really, really high, and I can change the angle pretty easily. I know I'm kind of trying to use what I have and not add as many things to my little Honda Fit as I may want to.
You know, that Honda Fit's probably really doing its job, and we gotta just give it props while it's still up and running, right?
I mean, we do. We just literally changed the starter on that car yesterday.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, well, I live with a mechanic, so he was able to do it for parts basically, which is pretty
wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
Hey Todd, thank you. I know Todd's probably listening. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. We appreciate you. Well, what's another point that you think that would be helpful for people out there trying to get from the garage to the venue for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is maybe like in the optimistic side of things because maybe you're just starting, you don't really have like a musician presence or page, but like I think it's probably important to have some kind of social media presence. Maybe create an account for, at minimum an email, because you want to create the opportunity for people to follow you, for people to venues to reach out to you. I think it's just, even if you're not using it much, even if it's brand new, because this is like, we're talking about like, day of the gig, I would say have some way for people to contact you. Think about what answer you might give and this is probably more prepping mentally, I guess, but think about what answer you'd give if someone says, hey, can someone in the audience hire you for a private event or something like that? You want to think a little bit about your, the front or the face you want to present to people. Sorry, the front or the you want to present to people. We're very experienced at this, everyone. Before you kind of go into that first opportunity, basically, if it goes well, what then? And have like some presence or some way to reach out to you. Maybe
a business card, something. You said, a Facebook page.
It could be a business card with an email and a phone number, honestly. But something like that.
Something though. I think another probably good point to make sure that you're ready to play your first gig would be just to make sure that, obviously I feel like this is kind of basic, but just knowing your instrument well enough, go in there. I know a lot of us get eager to just jump in, but like if you can't play a couple of chords smoothly, then maybe this isn't this isn't the time yet to jump into that first gig, because you're just going to get eaten alive if people start requesting songs and then you're struggling. So I don't know, maybe just being self-aware would be a good key to like knowing whether or not you're ready to do the gig. You know,
Yeah.
can I change chords? Can I change a string if something happens? I think maybe that's it. Maybe that's the point of be ready to problem solve,
I think
things are going to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, a good way to do that, by the way, because we have our inner voice. I mean, for many of us, it's like it's highly self-critical. Like we're like, oh, I'm not good enough, or whatever. Or like, oh, I watched a Christina Mayo video and she's so good at this, and I don't know what I'm doing, or whatever your reference point may be. But seriously, record yourself playing and listen back, and maybe get like friends and family members, friendly, you know, like good criticism. But like, look at that. Try to look at it with a critical eye, and also I would say this: treasure those videos, because when you're just starting, if you feel like you're in a rut, you're not really improving, sometimes you can look at those videos and like think about, and then look one like a year or two later, go, oh no, I'm getting better. It's just happening over time, right? So, but like in terms of like being able to evaluate yourself, like they also can give you a sense for like, oh, it sounded good to me in the monitors, but actually the mains, it sounds like garbage. Then, you know, you're giving yourself a lot of different data to know if you're ready, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I would say that's actually a very good point. Is that you do want to be aware, you do want to be somewhat critical of yourself, but you don't want to take the fun and joy out of it and be so hard on yourself to where you're never going to start. Because I don't know about you, but I know a couple of musicians that I think they're great. I'm like, well, you know, this person's really good, but they would never go and play solo because they just don't feel, they're so hard on themselves. They're just like, oh, I could never do that. I can't do it. You know, I'm not good enough, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, if they think they're not good enough, they must think that I'm terrible. You know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's such a balancing act, right? You don't want to get too full of yourself. You don't want to become self-critical. You don't start. And like like my full-time musician's journey started 2 years ago. And I think about that now and I'm like, wow, I was really kind of building that plane in flight, you know, to use that metaphor. Like I could do a thing. In my case, that thing was looping that let me stand out and was kind of created a little bit of an X factor in the local music scene. But like, you know, where I have come in those 2 years, I'm glad I didn't shy away from just jumping in. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're all work in progress. We're all just going to get better as we go. And you just got to be critical. And like, again, if you record yourself, you'll kind of see where your areas to improve are. Talk to other musicians at gigs. I actually get like crazy nervous when other musicians show up at my shows. Like I get this jolt of adrenaline. And sometimes I'll still make like the newbie mistakes when I've got like a good musician in the audience. But I really treasure the feedback I get from those people. Like one guy he was a songwriter in Nashville, like that, again, just gets in my head and rattles around in there. And he's like, your harmonies could be tighter, like when you're recording. Or I'm like, okay, cool. And so I started really like focusing on that as like an area to like just think about more and just not get crazy, but just get intentional with it.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I personally think that's awesome that you're able to take constructive criticism, because a lot of people can't, you know.
Can't. No, I mean, I'll say this: if you can take constructive criticism in this game, in this field, you are ahead of the curve.
Oh man,
you're so far ahead of the curve.
you're going to exceed your peers probably by leaps and bounds. I mean, I remember when I first started and I was songwriting. The guy who was recording me, he was like, you know, Christine, this song really sucks. I was like, what? He was like, it's just not very, you know, catchy. And he's like, actually, you know what it is? It's just too long. He's like, your songs are just too damn long. And I was like, wow. You know, and it hurt my feelings at first, but honestly, I sat and thought about it, and he was right. Yeah. And so I was in the middle of recording a 10-song, CD with him. This is forever ago. And so I said, you know what? Let me go back then. Let's stop. And I'm going to trim the fat on all these songs. And I did. I went back and just cut stuff that didn't need to be in there and rewrote and rearranged. And when I did, though, I got songs that were just so much better. They were enjoyable. He's like, see, this is it. The magic number is 3:30. He's like, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's what your songs need to be. No more, no longer. He is like, no less if you can. He's like, that's the magic number. And I was like, okay. So we just shot for that. But yeah, it was good feedback. I'm glad I was able to receive it. There's lots of growth that can be had if you can have good feedback and receive it. But, speaking of being able to receive feedback and conversing with other people, I think another big thing to know whether or not you're ready to play a gig is how comfortable are you in social settings? If you can't handle being on a stage and engaging with an audience, I don't think you need to be up there playing a gig, because it's not very fun to go watch somebody who just stands there, and I call it shoegazing. They just stand there and they just stare at their shoes the whole time, and they don't really say anything to the audience, and they're just kind of, that's not very entertaining in my personal opinion. You need to be able to at least throw the ball a little bit back and forth with your audience.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same way.
I'd say that it's some shoegazing is probably unavoidable when you're really starting out. But I think in general, you want to aim for I had on kind of we each kind of thought of this separately. I had make sure you're comfortable performing at all. Make sure you've done performances, because if you're really nervous, then what is going to happen is going to be whatever's inside you, and you don't know what's going to happen. But if you've had the opportunity to maybe go to this is where the open mics are really helpful, right? You can sing a song, a short anecdote or something like that maybe, and then just to get yourself comfortable using the microphone as less a singing tool and more of a tool to engage with people. I think that's very helpful. Also, don't overdo. I've been to shows, even really good musicians are just, it's a minute and a half a story, 3.5 minutes a song, and I'm like, oh god, I'm sorry, I'm so done with this now.
It's listen, man, don't get weird with it, okay?
I want my loop builds to be inside of 30 seconds. I don't want my stories to be longer than that.
Yeah, unless the audience is just, because I do a lot of this, because I do request so much. I do a lot of bantering back and forth with my audience, and I'm sure you've seen it on my live streams. I've actually had somebody on my live stream, the first and only person so far that complained. They were like, because I was bantering back and forth with a couple of people in the audience. They're like, well, there she goes again. She's going to talk with the audience for 5 minutes or whatever. And I saw that comment on my live stream, and I go, yes, so-and-so, I am going to talk to the people that came out to see me play in the audience.
Yeah.
I was
when it's a dialogue, it's also all bets are off when it's a dialogue. When you're having fun with the audience, it's just have fun with the audience. That's part of the joy of doing the thing.
One of the last points that I would say, and I think this is just gonna, two things. It's a 2-pointer. Number one, I think would be a really helpful point would be organized with your sets and your gear. That way you're not leaving the venue and leaving gear there constantly. That'll be something you'll develop over time from doing gigs, because I remember when I first started playing gigs, it was, hey, I left my microphone at this venue. Hey, is there a guitar cable by any chance over there? So, organization would be a huge thing. Make sure you're organized and ready. And then I think that just goes back to be professional on stage. Don't show up. This is something actually, this is my last point. Don't show up and look like you just rolled out of bed. Have a nice, clean, neat appearance. Be ready. If you don't have stage ready, I guess, attire, then maybe that's something you want to think about, because how you present yourself is gonna predict what type of venues you book. And that's a whole other story. But I think just staying organized and being neat and professional is going to be another thing to know whether or not you're ready to do the gig.
Absolutely. I mean, also, just like peace of mind, like, I mean, you could just a checklist, honestly. Beginning, like, I actually printed, and I ended up like outgrowing this really quickly because gear changes. But like, I had a laminate with a picture of all the things I wanted to see in my car before I drove away, and I could use that as a way to check, to check things on the way out as well. Now I actually have my Pelican case. I have like cutouts for everything, so it's really easy to remember what I need to bring out. But yeah, like having some way to like make to just do a quick, like flight check. Am I ready to go?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
At the end, especially at the end, because at the end you might be like, oh, the adrenaline's out. You're like, I just want to talk to people and relax, and oh well, what you leave at the venue is a tomorrow problem, and you're just so happy to have gotten to the end of it. Just save yourself tomorrow self like a little bit of a headache, and just like have some way of some kind of list or something like that is pretty helpful.
I agree. I think these are some pretty good points.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we might get into my deep obsession with spreadsheets, but I don't think this is a spreadsheet problem.
Christian would probably love to hear about your deep obsession with spreadsheets. I, on the other hand, I'm going to pass on that one.
Oh, for now you're going to pass. You'll see. At some point it's going to come out. There's going to be a spreadsheet on the screen.
Oh my gosh.
I'll get a laser pointer and we're off we go.
Well, Rick, that's all I've got, and I hope everyone enjoyed this topic. And if you did, hit us up with if you have any other great points of how to know when you're ready to play a gig. We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, and I guess as we're beginning to launch this thing, also any topic ideas, some similar kind of topics you'd like us to kind of talk as well. But yeah, weigh in. We'd love to hear what you think. Or like, anecdotes, horror stories, things that went wrong for your first gig if you're at that place. Like I said, I had the broken microphone or microphone stand, which was embarrassing, but I guess unavoidable.
It happens. And that is just something I think you have to make peace with is life is just going to be lifing. Things are just going to happen.
Absolutely. So I'll throw on the screen around here like the list I'll see in review. But Christine, thank you for the conversation.
Yes, Rick, you as well. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.
You too. And we'll all catch each other next week, and I'll catch you all out there soon. Cheers.
All right. See you guys later.